Hey everybody, how's it going today? Now let's see, who was first in the chat? I think it's Ben Colts. Looking forward to some techno for this dreary, rainy day in New York City. Yeah, it's on the gray side. It's cool, cloudy, and a little bit misty. Appropriate for some dark, moody techno, I suppose. We got Arsene, Future World Machines, Manuel Gloda, Danke für nicht, thanks for nothing. Welcome. And Muo, hello. Jean-Paul Bondy, yes, fellow nerds. We're all here. Danica Becker in Canada. Nice to have you here. So, we'll just chill out here for another moment as I wait for my caffeine to kick in. Feeling a little sleepy this morning, but that's okay. We'll warm it up. It's all right if you start low and end high, right? We got to work our way up. Netrunner's here. Yo. Nice. All right. And Muo is in Argentina. Welcome. Nice to have you here. I'm just trying to psych myself up. Get ready to push the button and show my face. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. What have I got to lose? Hey everybody, it's Selway's Techno Saturdays again here on 343 TV, brought to you by 343 Labs Music Production School in New York City, in Berlin, and online. What a mouthful, huh? Yeah, that's what we do. I do this. I come on here almost every week and hang out with you guys for an hour and make music, electro or techno, in different flavors. Sometimes we look at new plugins and new sound design techniques, and sometimes we just hang out and make beats and make music and arrange things. Like today, I'm working on the same kind of, the last couple times I've worked on the same techno track, and it's getting close, right, in terms of overall completion. So still looking into the details and polishing up, doing a little mixing, little thing like that. Anyway, yeah, aside from the live stream, what was that? My mouth just went blah, 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 blah. Aside from all of that, you know, we are a music production school and we do Ableton Live and Logic and music production in general and mixing and mastering and composition and arranging. And there's a performance class going on in the other room right now. And I have a synthesis and sound design for producers class, honestly, more of a synthesis class. Where you can come in and we learn about, we go over all the basics of most of the main types of synthesis. We've got another in-person class starting up here this week on Tuesday. Looking forward to meeting the new students. And also every now and then we've got the genre-specific courses. I have a Making Techno course. There's going to be another one of those in August after I'm back from holidays. Going away in July. And then I'll be back in August to do that Making Techno class. And yeah, I guess that affects the stream as well, right? We'll do a couple more, for June, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll be back towards the end of August. So anyway, we also have our year program. I know 343 always wants me to plug this big new endeavor that we have starting up in the fall, where, if you're ready to dive in and just really spend a lot of time on perfecting your craft and learning what you need to know, you can do that. You can it's, not quite a full-time program, but, many hours of the week, let's say, multiple classes, along with, private instruction, mentorship, and a bunch of other opportunities that we'll have for you. If you're interested in knowing more about those details, of course, all our information, our links, the ways to get in touch with us, and find out more about what we're doing are in the description below. You know the deal. Also, our Discord. We haven't done anything with the Discord in a little while. Those of you, I'm seeing your posts. I'm listening. I haven't been commenting. I will. Going to set up another techno feedback session. Pushing for this month before we go on a break. So we'll do that in a couple of weeks. All goes well. Again, it depends on getting someone to sit here with me to hang out and go over your stuff with you. So more about that in the coming days. Someone's asking about the Push 3. And I know I mentioned this last week. For some reason, we don't have one yet. I know everyone else has one. It's like I keep seeing all these new Push 3 videos. And it's happening. It'll happen. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I actually, I'm such an in-the-box producer. I do everything mostly in live with a few plugins here and there, like some synths and things like that, like the Arturia stuff, etc. You've seen what I've worked with. And I do have hardware, and I occasionally plug it in and play with it, and I'll usually like record some stuff, and then I'll chop it up and then go back to being in the box. But I do like the idea of being able to do it's not exactly computerless, right? Like live, okay, the Push 3, the standalone version is a computer, and I have thoughts about that. But like, I like the idea of having an Ableton Live centric hardware setup, right? Where, you're not looking at your laptop and having all those distractions and a million possibilities. You're kind of working within those limitations, and you've got, I don't have to learn a new sequencer, right? I have what I'm familiar with, what I'm comfortable with. I'm really happy working just in the session view with clips and making scenes and doing stuff like that. I mean, I sketch out my stuff like that a lot. So I think it would be great to take a Push 3 in standalone Push 3 and connect all of my synths and hardware that I barely ever use to that. That's what I would like to do, and that's what I hope will happen once I get my hands on one, or we here at 343 get our collective hands on one or two of those. We'd like to have those around here. As a certified Ableton training center here, we probably should have at least one. So yeah, it'll come eventually. Enough about that. Let's get into this track again. And I don't know, let's listen to it. It takes some, I tend to kind of get impatient with myself when I'm on here, like presenting to you guys. I want to like kind of make a show and keep the energy level up, but let's actually just all sit back and listen to how this track is all put together so far. I already know there's some things that I meant to do that I hadn't done yet in terms of the arrangement, but yeah, let's take a look and a listen to what's going on. I'm going to try to kind of collapse this down a little bit so we can see more of the tracks and all at once. We don't need to, well, I know it's kind of good to see the automation too, isn't it? Well, all right, we'll just zoom around a little bit. Let's see what we got here. And are you hearing that? I'm not hearing anything right now. Hold on a moment. That is very strange. Uh-oh. I know what's going on. All right, you just keep listening. That's embarrassing. My personal monitor level was all the way off in the digital mixer. But you guys could hear it, which is cool. Definitely moody, cloudy day kind of music, isn't it? What's up, Luminous Cloud? Yes, making a rain dance with this one. Making it rain. I'm starting to think about already like little details I want to change as I hear this. We've gone through most of it. I'll try not to speak too much before it's over. Coming in for a landing. Some nice subtleties in here. That's really what I've been kind of honing in on, like last time we were working on it. Jean-Paul Bondi, he's like, yeah, sounds dope, render it. It could be done. It could be done. You're right. We're right at that point, but I still feel like I have to mess with it. We all have our personal kind of threshold for that stuff, right? Luminous Cloud saying that's the little one, that synth, that polymetric, that one that's just rising up right now is reminding him of Beltram. Yeah, there's some like, it's kind of a 90s-ish thing to do, right? The producers like Beltram, maybe Luke Slater, you'll hear those sorts of things. I love that type of sound. I keep coming back to those. And yeah, it has that bit of a flavor, but it's not quite as tough and banging, right? I feel like there's a jacking groove that Beltram has sometimes that this doesn't quite have. This is a little more rolling and a little more chill, even though it's still going to sound pretty powerful when it's on a loud system. The BPM is at 133.33 beats per minute. Hey, Shelly. There's no really, I don't have a very good reason for the BPM being at 130. Actually, that's not true. We've talked about this ages ago on the show about cutting loops to vinyl. And if you set your BPM to 133.33, one bar of, 144 bar will loop perfectly on the vinyl. So like, the cutting engineer can put the needle on the lathe down, the cutting head on the lathe down, and let it just cut exactly like one revolution, and it meets itself. And so when you put the needle in the groove, it just keeps playing. You've probably seen or heard of that before. So 133.33 will get you the most perfect loop when you're cutting at 33 and a third RPM. So, and it's a certain amount of seconds actually, and you could do any tempo or any number of beats within that measurement, whatever that time measurement is. So you could divide it into more than just 4 beats if you want. But that's how it works out for 4 beats. So I just absentmindedly, I'll just make it 133.33. And just in case if this were to get cut to vinyl, I would be ready to make a loop out of it. You could end the track in a lot groove so it never stops, right? So there's your explanation for that question that was probably even more than you even wanted to know. Nice. All right. So, and Luminous Cloud is talking about how, I think, the Weather release on Primate with Christian, we did some lot grooves on that. And also we've done lot grooves a lot on my electro label with Jason Shostak with BPMF. We did a compilation called Loops. And then we did another one called Loops Again. That was all just what I was just talking about. All right, let's get the focus back onto the track. Now, I've listened to it, and, John Paul was like, release it. It could be done. I feel like there's some mixed stuff to work on probably. I like it. Sometimes I care less about it. If I'm being a little bit more weird and underground, I won't try to perfect it and make it too shiny and perfect. But if I really want to make sure that it sounds fresh and powerful and, comes through on a big sound system the way I want it to, then I'll spend some more time on that. I was already sort of thinking about that. I was thinking it was too rumbly, bassy, too boomy. And I threw on this, you've seen me go over this before. Maybe some of you see me go over using this before on the stream. And, there's plenty of YouTube videos about tonal balance control, but just kind of generally getting things in the ballpark. And you can see right here, look at it's showing that there's a ton of sub, and there is, but it's not completely, it's supposed to be that amount for this kind of music at this point in the arrangement. We're mainly hearing the kick and some mids and like that one tiny little hi-hat. But if you go in here where it gets all bright and noisy, this is where it matters that the tonal balance is in range. So I did a little bit of tweaking to some levels and to some EQs to get it to sit more closely in this bass-heavy tonal balance preset. Yes, Jean Paul, this is... Thank you, Isotope. So I do use this every now and then for a bit of a reset, because I'll like how it sounds. And, but then I'll listen to it in headphones, and I'll listen to it in here in this content studio, which is not really a music, accurate mixing studio. It's got, we've got some decent speakers here, but, I listen to it at home, I listen to it wherever, and then I just need a reset. So that's pretty much all I've done to this since we last looked at it, was just doing some rough levels in EQ to get it more in the ballpark. And, it doesn't have to be perfectly. You can see there's kind of an upper and lower range there. As long as I'm in there, it's probably going to be relatively balanced. So, all right. Not to make this a tutorial about tonal balance control. Sorry, John Paul. We've done it before. Let's go back and look at some of these details again. There was a part in here where I wanted to change the automation on this Beltram-esque synth that we were talking about just a minute ago. So I'm going to listen to this section here where they're both playing together, and just kind of feel the energy as the synth. And there's actually 2 layers of it playing. It's the same sound playing 2 different notes. And they're being automated individually. And in this section, we're hearing the higher note playing brighter because the filter's kind of way up high in this one now. It's getting a little more shiny. But I felt like in here, I wanted the lower one to come back a little bit more. And have some kind of contrast there. then, yeah, this is where I felt like it needed a little work. All right, so right here, let's smooth that automation out a little bit. Okay. Yeah, there where I was kind of not sure what I was doing, well, you can see that those breakpoints are kind of go, why are they going down there? Let's see. Hey, what's up there? Someone's watching on Twitch. Most of you are on YouTube. We got who do we got here? I am Jet2105. Hello. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. All right, I get to hear this again. I was talking over it. All right, yeah, that's... I want to make that smoother. Hey Shelly, I think the comment was about old school Joey Beltram. There's some 90s tracks that have this sort of sound. In terms of newer producers, you're probably right. All right, so here I also wasn't sure about what was going on with that synth, right? So it kind of comes down, the kick drum drops out, there's a little bit of a break here. And we're kind of, the focus is going back to that bubbly granular sound that we started with, or bubbly, I don't know, melodic percussion bang. So I want to keep this kind of back here and not too, I don't want it to cover up too much of what the other sound's doing. But I still want to swell, so I'll just wait to the very end to get much brighter. And then I don't mind it dropping down again. Okay. And that's pretty much it, I think. I'll come back to that. That looks smoother and a little more purposeful now. When I recorded it, I was just sort of moving the knob up and down and kind of improvising it. And this one's it's following the structure a little bit more closely. What else is happening? There was a spot where I felt like the kick drum dropped out in a weird place. All right, so I'm going to start from here, from 89. Also might be a little bit loud. Turn it down a couple of dB. That rim shot's definitely loud. I don't mind it though, because it just happens every now and then. I think it's coming up here. We'll see if this is the right spot for the kick drum to drop out and if it comes back in. Oh yeah, there. I had it sort of went a bar too long. And then I think these guys would need to come in back here. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. So this is the kind of thing where in the arrangement, I was recording this in real time pretty much. I was like kind of making the arrangement I was, kind of laying it down, and not, it was kind of more intuitive, right? And right here, like, if you're counting 8s and 16s, the kick drum, following by what comes before it, right here at 113, the kick drum should drop out, but it goes an extra bar, So I'm like adding a bar on to the end of a phrase. And you know, if I was following it straight, the kick drum would come back here, but it's coming back in a bar later. And so it might throw a DJ off if they're really like kind of want to be, if they're, you know, if you're the kind of DJ who's counting exact like 1632 all the time, you know, that one bar thing might throw you off, but I'm going to leave it. I kind of like that. It's just subtly changing the feel, and it's like, it's not off. It's not wrong. It's not like, you know, I'm not losing a quarter note or an eighth note till it throws the groove off. It's just, yeah, I'm going to leave it. I thought when we were listening to it before, I thought maybe I needed to fix it, but screw it. We'll leave it there for now. I might come back and fix it later, but why not? What's an extra bar? Okay. So I also kind of feel like the kick drum could punch a little bit more. It's not that the kick drum isn't loud enough, you know, and that's one of the things, you know, going back to using this tonal balance thing as a reference, like to get the kick feeling like it was punchy enough, I had it turned up, but then when I had it turned up that much, there was too much low end in the mix overall. And so, you know, that's something you got to look at with EQ and compression to like get that balance where it's got the thump that you want and the punch that you want, but you're not totally taking over. And then again, this groove this isn't a jacking, stomping groove. I'm not mixing everything around the kick. The kick is supporting it. So I don't want the kick to be like way, way banging, but I still want it to punch through the mix a little bit. And here it feels like it's there, but I wouldn't mind a little bit more of a pop. I'm going to try transient shaping. I'm going to try to like get that, the punch, you know, the clicking through a little bit. I don't want to necessarily like, I could EQ it, but it's funny. It's this weird balance. Like it has a snap on it, but it's just a little like tick, tick, tick. I don't know what's going to happen and you can see I've even got it like rolled off a little bit. Like I'm removing some highs from the sound. All right, I also have the kick roll. There's an attack envelope, and I have it softened up a little bit. Maybe that's what I did too much of. There it is. There's the knock. All right, before I go to effects, before I go to the transient shaping or like some compression or something, I'm going back to my little DS kick synth here, and oh yeah, I made it sound soft. That's why it's doing that. I could even think about automating this, because maybe in the beginning it's softer. And you can hear there's a little big, you know, when the oscillator is getting re-triggered, you're hearing a snap. All right. But then over here, maybe we can, in this section, all right, where are we at 11%? Let's bring that down. All right, let's see if that worked. I don't know, maybe it is a little lost here too. This part makes me feel dizzy. Yeah, there's a slight, I mean, that might be enough. It's still, you know, the overall, you know, it still has a bit of a raw vibe to it. It doesn't sound like a overly processed, polished, like hyped up, like modern EDM kick or anything. It's like, you know, it sounds like a synthesized, you know, kind of more raw, not overly processed. Kind of, it is what it is. I mean, I did put a little bit of saturation on it. All right, just for fun. All right, so Shelly's recommending a noise or a per kit on top of the kick, and that is a thing, to like layer a character sound for a transient onto a more simple kick drum. We could try that. I'm open to that. I'm also going to go in and, just because it was my first thought before I remembered about the attack shape on the kick drum. But yeah, let's throw where do we want it? We want a kilohertz transient shaper. I like this. I like this transient shaper. Jean-Paul, is there an isotope plugin I should be using instead? Dynamics 2. Oh, a Zap. Oh, Dave Knoller, Dynamics 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that might be a different sort of style of a kick drum than what I need for this track. But yeah, I could use Ozone 10. But yeah, there is a transient shaper in there somewhere, right? I'm gonna stick with this one for now. It's just the one tiny little plugin. It's not making that much of a difference, but it is making it pop a little bit more. And I'm curious, like, what does it sound like if I put it before the saturator? More aggressive. We're hearing more highs. Remember, kids, think of your signal flow and like what the order of operations, the order of effects, and you can try out different combinations and different strings of effects in different orders to see what happens. Yeah, it's definitely more aggressive before the saturator than it is after. Go figure. It's way more of a knock now, isn't it? Actually, this is another thing with transient shaping. You'll set it, and then you'll go, oh, that sounds great, and then you'll listen to it in your mix, and you go, that's too much. Every single time I put a transient shaper on, I start out too far, and then I dial it back. Also, it's good to do it in the context of the mix so you know how it all works. Okay, it's definitely got more of a knock now. Whether it's still in, let's look at our overall balance. Yeah, it's still not going too high in terms of the low end on that kick. Oh, I remember another thing I was thinking about doing. All right. I still may go back to that kick, but I like where it's going. That's, having it, I want it to add a bit more energy, right? So having that transient shaper on there, and also combining that with a little bit of adjustment to the attack shape, to the time of that kick drum. And actually, later I think it goes back to a lower level. Let's put it back. Yeah, we started at 10. Let's go back to 10 at the end. Or close to it. Close enough anyway, right? And actually, it sounds like there's something layered onto the kick drum right there, but there's actually just a hi-hat. So that's there all the time, pretty much. Go into Shelly's idea. Sometimes you could just use a hi-hat to do that. And then in the context of the whole thing, it sounds like the kick has a bit of an extra tick. Jean-Paul, I'll try out the Neutron transient shaper, definitely. I haven't used it before. I must be missing something. Okay, so that synth, our Joey Beltram or not style synth lead-ish thing, right? I wanted it, at some points I was thinking to make it sound a little bit thicker, and maybe. Oh, actually it's already in there. I was thinking I wanted to bring in the sub level, but it's already in there. just adding a slight little bit of that octave below it, just to fill in that frequency range. Because there's not that much low mids in this track. I mean, the percussion's kind of, but there's certain frequency ranges that are not represented. And I could add a part, but then in the synth, I could also add a layer into the synth. And then this one, I think this one I'll leave. This one I'll leave without it. I don't know, maybe. Let's see what it sounds like if I add in. Whoa, it's a lot of effects. I'm going to go back here actually when it's more by itself. Okay. That filtered modulating clap layer is something I've been meaning to look at. All right, you know, it's just, without all these effects on it, it's just that. But we've got it split up into noise running into the vocoder, right? So we're getting like a layer of noise going along with it, which I also am automating the release. So it's getting fuller or, you know, longer or shorter, especially in the end there. And then that's running through this stepped auto filter. But I'm thinking like, I need to control this a little bit. I mean, it sounds okay, but there's no dynamics processing. There's no EQ on this. It probably needs, you know, in order to kind of shine up the mix a little bit and get it balanced, it probably needs something. And this is a hard target because, you know, it's filtering and modulating, getting brighter and darker. And, you know, it's a moving target. So we'll have to take a look and see, like, you know, what's sticking out, what needs to be cleaned up. Or maybe we just leave it. I don't know. It has, what do you think? Has it bothered you? Did it seem like it's sort of out of hand? Like, it isn't crazy busy. Right here it gets pretty noisy and then dials back again. Let's see what's going on. I'm just going to throw an EQ after it, and yeah, it's actually fairly well contained for as much as it's moving around. It's in a certain band here from like 1,000 to 10,000. Sometimes I feel like when it's around 4,000 or 5,000, it's a bit much. So, you know, right there I could just dip a little bit. That's the painful frequency. Yeah, that helps. Just a tiny bit. Yes, I'm nitpicking. Luminous Cloud is calling me out for nitpicking. Yeah, you caught me. Let's take a breather for a moment. Let's just chill out and hang for a minute. And You know, this is Selway's Techno Saturdays here on a cool late spring, gray, slightly rainy day. And we're on 343 TV, brought to you by 343 Labs Music Production School. I'm at our school right now in New York on 23rd Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. I'm in the content room. In the studio. We've got a class running next door. We've got Dan Freeman doing a live performance, kind of a workshop. And I think the students were even doing some performing in class today. It was sounding pretty nice. So yeah, that's what we do at 343 Labs. We teach music production, and we teach mixing and mastering, and synthesis and sound design, and live performance, and composition and arranging. And we work in Ableton Live. We don't have a Push 3 yet. And we use Logic and all sorts of different instruments to make music. And we have live events, and we have live streams like what I'm doing today. And we have pro sessions where artists come in and do like master classes and workshops. And we have almost weekly, we have like an Ableton Live user group, and we have a performance showcase where students could come in and, perform and share what they're working on with the community. And yeah, we have that here in New York, and we have that in Berlin, and we have online courses, and we have our year program starting in the fall, which is like, you can sign up to do everything in one big package. And there's been a lot of interest. We've got a good number of people signed up to start our first round of our year program coming up in September. So you want to know more about that? You've got our links in the description below. You've got 343labs.com, and you've got the German site, which is linked there too, if you want to know about what's happening in Berlin. So yes, look us up. Give us a subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, it's been a while since I've asked you guys to do that. So I think most of you here today are like, that I see in the chat are like regular, so you're probably already following. But yeah, do that. And, give us a thumbs up. Or not. But yeah, do it. Cool. So, Shelly's mentioning something about stabilizer. What's that? I see you're also mentioning Soothe too. I was getting back to what I was working on. I was thinking about trying out Soothe 2 on a couple of these tracks that are very resonant, like that clap track I was just listening to, and also the granular kind of melodic percussion sound that's one of the main sounds. It's very resonant, and that could be good, but also it could kind of take over. So, I don't know. Let's see. Let's maybe try that and see if that can help us. And, it's funny, using Soothe, I've been mainly focusing on the presets and just trying different presets out to see what sounds good. And if it sounds good, then it's good, right? And, all the different presets are kind of geared towards different types of sounds, different uses. And it does give you a good idea of what's possible with this thing. But, all right. And I've already got so far there's only EQ on this sound, and I in the synth it's already got compression and limiting on it. So like dynamically it's kind of contained already. And that's probably why it's I've kind of built the whole track around this, so it makes sense that starting with it balanced as it is and then everything else is fitting in with it, I don't have to change it too much. But when I open up and it gets brighter and the notes get higher, it kind of it could use a little bit of control. So, and again, it's a moving target, and that happens a lot in like this kind of music where you have one sound changing frequency all the time, So let's see where we get. Right, when it does some of these higher notes, it gets to be a little bit much. So let's throw on a Soothe 2, since it was mentioned and I was thinking about it. It's actually not that bad. Usually if you look at that, let me zoom in so you can see it better. If you had a sound that was like had certain resonant frequencies that were really sticking out a lot, like sibilance on a vocal or something like that, you would see some pretty deep cuts, right? because we're seeing like that's the Soothe is automatically reducing resonant frequencies as they move around, and you can control how sensitive it is or which range of frequencies you want to be controlled more or less, you know. And this is just the factory default preset. I think it just follows sort of your average natural curve of human hearing sensitivity, right? So it's kind of designed to mostly reduce those frequencies that are most irritating, you know, between like 3 and 6,000, somewhere in there, where you get that kind of in your ear. It sounds like a stick poking you, sort of. That's how I think of it. It's like a sharp stick to the ear. So this sound doesn't have too much of that. But then again, this preset's not designed to remove those as much. So I don't know. Maybe I don't need it, but I'm gonna go back to. This is what I'm now starting to learn how to use this plugin for real. And now it's flat, and you can see actually when you dial it up, some of those high notes you can see they are kind of sticking out a lot. Let's get a little bit. I'm going to make it a little sharper and a little more selective, and then a little less deep. And then it's really going to try to zone in on the sharpest ones. And then it's kind of the opposite of what you think. If you grab one of those frequency bands and when you bring it up, it reduces more. Anyway, I'm just playing around a little bit. Again, I didn't mean for this to turn into a Soothe 2 tutorial. We're just going with the flow. And yeah, we could hit delta and solo. I don't want to get too deep into this right now. I'm just playing around. Oh, Stereo Decor, what's up? Please, it's funny. I think about this stuff a lot. This is a totally different zone than using something like Soothe. So Stereo Decor, nice to have you, is asking about delaying the kick so that it sounds snappier. And I have done this exact thing before. I have, and that's one, I love being able to do that so easily in live, where each track has its track delay here. So you can just move, you can move a track earlier in time when really what you're doing is all the other tracks are moving later, because you can't actually go back in time. Or yeah, you can adjust the time relationship, the phase between tracks. And that's a cool idea. And, this is sort of going back to what that kick drum sounds like. Like, what kind of difference will it make if we shift it later? Are we even going to be able to tell? Let's listen to it with that. I don't know. With that, I think getting the synth out of the way and just having more percussion would be helpful. So I don't know if I'm hearing it because I want to hear it, but I think I'm hearing a tiny difference. I suspect that would make more of a difference if I had a more rumbly, thick bass sound and subs that I was kind of trying to balance with the kick. Most of the low end in this track, almost all of it is coming from the kick. This has some, but it's more low mids. It doesn't really have bass in it, right? It's dark, but it's not bassy. This is all the bass. So I wonder if it makes that much difference in this scenario. Now it does change the feel of the groove for sure. And I know, like, even just if you have the kick drum later, then it feels like all the high frequency percussion is earlier, and that can make it feel like it's pushing forward a little bit. That can make it actually feel like the groove is slightly gaining velocity, even though it isn't really changing. And then if you go you can go the other way. That's too much. So, you know, that's going to take some experimenting and some playing with. And again, I think that's program dependent, definitely. Like the relationship between the kick and other low frequency percussive like transients, like doing that phase shift of bringing the track earlier or later could help a lot, bringing out a sound that needs to be brought out. So that is a good suggestion. Nice. Stereo Decor says it's better. Wait, which I was kind of listening and not listening. I mean, I'm noticing the differences, but I wasn't sure if I made that much of a difference, but positive. Okay, so we want the kick to be a little bit later. So let's try it one more time. We'll listen again. I'll be careful. I mean, is it better? Maybe. Do I like it? I actually like it. So maybe it is better. So interesting. I'm going to leave it. Good suggestion. It did something. It didn't do something bad. I mean, if you go too far, it's going to sound bad. Right? It's a train wreck now. Somewhere in there between like 3 and 4 and 5 milliseconds actually sounds pretty good. All right. And oh, you also mentioned disperser. I have disperser installed. I don't have the license. So I've been thinking about getting it. It's a pretty cool effect, doing crazy phase stuff, right? Like it does some interesting things to sounds that you don't hear a lot from other effects. Alrighty. Going back to the arrangement and looking at the big picture. I mean, yeah, it could be done. We could call it done here. You know, I need to test out the mix a little, you know, and some different speakers. I think there was something I wanted to add. And I think it was simply just like a ride cymbal at some point. Having a 909 ride cymbal, just because I feel like I always use it. All right. It's just I like the sound of it. There are other rides, but the 909 ride has my heart. Oh, that's too loud. Okay. I don't love you anymore, ride. You're too loud. I don't know. I just make it every time. I should just save this as a clip in my library, and then like typical 909 ride, drag and drop, and it's done. And here I am building it yet again for the millionth time. Give it a little bit of velocity. Maybe I want the quarter notes to be a little louder, a little more continuous. And it's really busy now with lots of high frequencies, so I don't want to use it too much. I just want to have it in here. Not that loud though. I'm going to turn retrigger off. Do a little... doing this for the millionth time too. Sort of like doing a chorus. All right. So that was something, I don't know. I had the idea to add it in the last time I worked on it, and I didn't get to it. And we'll see if we really need it or not. early to put it in right here. Let's see. Nah, it's the wrong place to put it. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to keep recording though. I'll fix it after. Like maybe it should be there instead. Right, because there's that little break where the kick drum drops out. I feel like I might want to play around and tune this ride a little bit. Maybe. That's a maybe right there. You need to be able to detune it, not just transpose it. Tuning 909 rides is a skill. I think that's better. And then maybe a little. Why did this just pop up? How did that happen? What like key command in OS X did I just hit to pop up emojis? All right. That's better. All right, I'm not sure about having the ride cymbal there. I'm not sold on that location. Where else could it be? Because I liked it, but then that string thing comes in. The string with the weird granular cricket effect on it. Maybe I wanted to have it in here to add a little energy to this more trippy part. Maybe it was just too loud, the rides. Maybe I'm trying too hard to make these rides fit. I don't mind it there, though. I was even thinking about automating or modulating the pitch of the ride, like you would play with the tuning on the real thing. Man, I thought I would be closer to done. I'm not. I have to figure this out. This ride cymbal thing has got to be sorted out. But it's not going to happen today. It's a little after 2 now. It's time to wrap things up. And nice to see everybody in the chat today. Thanks for being here again. And I hope you're I've been thinking, like, I've been doing this same track for like 3 Techno Saturdays, over several weeks. And maybe I should do something new, but I don't know. I was thinking it would be good to like bring something to a close, or at least near it, in the stream. So you guys saw, like, you pretty much have seen the whole process from the first sound to a 90-something% done arrangement, and even the mix is pretty close to where I feel like I could test it out. And Sean's saying it sounds like the underground stage at Movement. Did you go? I haven't been to Movement in many years, but yeah, I feel like a track like this could have fit in at an event, in a space like that. So, oh, hey, Aaron 303, it's the end of the show. So anyway, once again, thanks to all of you for hanging out and going along with this journey and seeing, as I get through the process of making this track. And I don't know, maybe we'll bring it back one more time. I'm going to work on it on my own and, work out some of these things, like where the ride cymbal goes and everything. Maybe we'll do like one last final mix and sort of master, although I don't usually do my own mastering, but yeah, maybe we'll do one more round with this, in June before we call it done. And that is it for today. Enjoy your week. See you next time. Adios.